Today on Home Theater Fanatics, we're going to take a look at the KEF LS50 Meta and KEF LS50 Wireless II. KEF has released two new versions of their LS50 speaker line, the LS50 Meta and the LS50 Wireless II. The LS50 Meta is the passive version of the speaker, while the Wireless 2 is the active high technology version of the speaker. They both incorporate the new Meta material inside of the design of the speaker itself. Now, you might be asking, what the heck is this new Meta material? Well, let's jump in and listen to a couple of different people talk about this Meta material so you can get a good idea of what's going on.
So I'm real excited to kind of fill you guys in and the audience in a little bit about what metamaterial is and what you can actually expect to hear. And then we'll talk a little bit about the products and kind of go over some things. So let's talk a little bit about what it is. If we're in a cabinet and we've got an enclosed cabinet, right, we all know that the speaker fires forward, the sound goes out, and the equal amount of energy goes back into the cabinet. And what happens is that bounces around inside, and then it will eventually come back and interfere with the sound that's being made currently. So what you have is this slight delay of resonant sound energy that we don't want. And what it actually winds up doing is it kind of interferes with the current sound. So you lose some detail, and you lose some of the nuance and stuff. You can actually hear that it's in a box, as opposed to if you listen to a speaker system that's not baffled, right? There's a different sound.
Right.
So what back even in 1967, we attached a 32-inch or 31-inch long sort of rubberized plastic tube to the back of the tweeter that theoretically all the sound just kind of went into and dissipated before it would bounce back and interfere. So what we've done is we've partnered with a group called Acoustic Metamaterial Group, actually, and they're sort of a leading edge, sort of sciencey group of engineers that come up with the algorithms and whatnot for these little sound baffle things. And so what we've come up with is this cool little wafer that's 0.43 inches thick, and it's probably about 3 inches in diameter. And if you can imagine, if my left hand is this speaker magnet on the back of the UniQ, what this disc does is it sits right on the back of it, and then we have a channel that comes out the back of the tweeter and goes into this little wafer.
So the metamaterial is kind of, one aspect of this, but the LS50 announcements then, so there are two models of new LS50. They both have metamaterial?
Yeah.
Okay, they both have it. So you have the passive and the active. Now, from a passive point of view, what's new there? So you've got the metamaterial, you've got the updated Tangerine waveguide. What else is going on that's of note on those guys?
So if you were to look at the back of the cabinet of the LS50 Meta, it's kind of cleaned up. It's a lot more aesthetically pleasing. It's very kind of cool. We've slightly recessed the terminals, and the port is slightly recessed, and it has that nice sort of a rounded sort of a feel to it. So it's actually very evocative of the front panel in the rear panel. So it's really kind of it really is pretty. I don't know any other way to put it, right? So we got a couple of finishes now. They're the new finishes. They're all matte finishes, is what we've done here. And there's some tightening up of the bracing. The bracing in the LS50 is phenomenal. But if you were to do the wrap test on top of the cabinet, you can hear it's quite a solid piece on the LS50. But it's a 12th generation UniQ with this metamaterial, which is in addition, and then the fine-tuned tweaking to the Tangerine waveguide, and we actually did some work on the symmetry of the magnet. So it's a far more symmetric response of throughout the magnet's range.
That's great. Linear response through the full motion of the cone. Our voice coil is great.
Yeah, so real
super important
kind of stuff, but exactly.
Super important. Super important. And I'm looking at the colors on the LS50 Meta on the website, and it looks like there's a royal blue special edition, mineral white, a carbon black, and a titanium gray which are the options that are available now on the LS50 Meta. Moving on from there, and I think this is probably the thing I'm most excited for, and it's not only because it comes in red, and I really like red, but the LS50 Wireless V2, is that the correct? What's the real title? The LS50 Wireless II, is that it?
It's LS50 Wireless II. Some of my European counterparts, you call it LS50 Wireless Mark II.
Got it.
Right, but we haven't used the V2, so I'm going to refer to it as the LS50 Wireless II.
Got it.
Yeah, and that in and of itself. So all right, so we've got all the meta material. We've spoken about all that and what a big deal that is. Now what we've done with the LS50 Wireless II, it's the new app. It's a KEF Connect app.
Right.
It's a new platform. It's our Wireless 2 or W2 platform, which is going to onboard like that. It's a beautiful thing. It's very intuitive. It's very user friendly. It's very rock solid. It actually does frequencies skipping in between the cable, or hopping actually in between the cables to find the best frequency for to reduce interference and so on and so forth. It's a very robust operating system that now it doesn't reside on your phone. It resides actually in the primary speaker. It's an entirely new platform. It's based on architecture that is industry standard, and even a little bit ahead of the curve in terms of that. So take all the metamaterial stuff that we're talking about and then add it to this, plus a little bit of increased power. All around, it's like 760 watt system now, divided right. So we have the 4 amps. 2 amps in each speaker, one for the high frequencies and one for the LFMF.
So the LS52, here are just some specs off the website. So, 760 watts total per system. It'll do up to 108 decibels, which is freaking loud, y'all. And it does 384 32-bit for MQA and DSD 256. Okay, so, but kind of across the bottom, you've got a power port where you plug in your cord, an Ethernet, then it looks like a USB service port, then a subwoofer out RCA port. So it's going to do all your crossover and everything for sub 2. And okay, so then after that, it looks like you got your interspeaker Ethernet cable, Cat 6. Then you move up to the top row, and it looks like there's a HDMI port there. Is that a eARC in maybe?
It's eARC, yeah.
All right. Then there's your optical SPDIF, I guess, and then coax in for folks that are using coax. Then auxiliary in, which looks like a 3.5 millimeter that I guess you would split that out into a pair of RCAs with an adapter potentially, or you could plug a phone or something like that in if you wanted to. Does that sound right?
Exactly right. Or a turntable, right? You can, whatever analog source you have, just go in there. Now, just always the topic of discussion is, what do we do with the analog source? We will convert it to a 192.24 stream coming out of your turntable, and then so we'll manipulate everything digitally in terms of the DSP and the crossover and so on and so forth. So we'll in other words handle that data stream exactly like we handle every other data stream internally in the system.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, Jack. And we will definitely have you back on whenever you want to talk to us and tell us new exciting stuff. Or if you just want to geek out with us on a live stream or something on a Tuesday night, we're more than happy to have you and host you and hang out with you.
Oh, man, it's always a pleasure. So I will, you might not want to offer me that because I'll be like, hey, guys, can I come on? Hey, guys, can I come on? But
anytime. The door is open. Just show up. You don't even have to tell us. Even if we have another guest, we'll tell that other guest, sorry.
You got to go.
This is Jack. You're out of here.
Oh, you guys are really kind. I appreciate it. And thanks very much for the opportunity. It's been a blast. Yeah.
Awesome.
Take care, everybody.
Thank you very much.
See ya.
Thanks so much. Bye-bye.